Have you ever looked at a stranger and just felt it? Before a single word, before you knew their name. That's not a decision. That's your brain making the call in about a tenth of a second, flipping a switch inside you that you never chose to flip. We call it love at first sight. But what is actually happening in there, in that first fraction of a second, is stranger than any love story. By the way, this is Dr. Psyche, where we break down the strange ways your mind works. So if you want to know more hidden tricks your brain can do, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's begin. Start with the speed, because the speed is the part nobody believes. At Princeton, psychologists Janine Willis and Alexander Todorov flashed photos of faces at people for just 1/10 of a second. That's it. A blink is longer. And in that sliver of time, people had already decided if the face was attractive, trustworthy, likable. When they were given more time to look, their answers barely changed. The first snap judgment had already locked in. So when your eyes land on someone and your stomach drops, your brain isn't thinking it over. It already decided. You're just catching up to a choice it made without you. Now, the flood. The second your brain tags someone as wanted, it does not politely raise the idea. It opens the gates. Deep in your brain sits a reward system that runs on a chemical called dopamine. It's the same system that lights up for food, for money, for anything your brain decides it must have. The anthropologist Helen Fisher, working with Arthur Aaron and Lucy Brown, put people newly in love into brain scanners. When they saw the face of the person they wanted, one region lit up like a firework, the ventral tegmental area, a dopamine factory, the exact same region that fires in the brain of someone craving a drug. Read that again. Early love and addiction share a wiring. That desperate, obsessive, can't stop thinking about them feeling, it isn't a metaphor. Your brain is, chemically, hooked. Then your body joins in. Dopamine doesn't come alone. It drags in a stress chemical called norepinephrine, and this is where the physical symptoms come from. The racing heart, the sweaty palms, the stomach that won't settle, the strange inability to eat or sleep because you can't stop replaying their face. Notice something. Those are almost the exact same signals as fear. Pounding heart, dry mouth, jittery nerves. Attraction and panic borrow the same alarm system. That is why the line between thrilling and terrifying is so thin when you first want someone. Your body can barely tell the difference. But here is the part that gives love at first sight its real power. Your brain doesn't just turn something on, it turns something off. The neuroscientist Semir Zeki studied the brains of people deep in romantic love, and he found something remarkable. The regions responsible for critical judgment, for social assessment, for negative emotion, went quiet. They deactivated. The part of you that would normally notice red flags, weigh the risks, or think this is a stranger, that part gets turned down. Love isn't blind by accident. Your brain blinds it on purpose. It shuts off the critics so nothing gets in the way of the pull. So put it all together. In a tenth of a second, your brain judges a face. It floods you with the chemistry of craving. It fills your body with a rush you can barely separate from fear. And then it quietly switches off your ability to doubt any of it. No wonder it feels like fate. Everything inside you was engineered to make it feel exactly that big. But now, the twist. Because if you ask people who swear they fell in love at first sight, the science tells a quieter story. A researcher named Florian Zock studied real reported cases of it. And what he found was that love at first sight, in that first moment, is almost never deep intimacy or commitment. It is intense physical attraction, a powerful pull, dressed up by memory as something more. Here's the sneaky part. When a couple stays together, they look back and rewrite that first meeting. The ordinary glance becomes destiny. The brain edits the memory to match the ending, and the story of love at first sight is often written long after the first sight is over. So was it real? Yes. The chemistry was real. The rush was real. But it wasn't your soul recognizing another soul. It was the oldest, fastest part of your brain making a snap bet. and then your mind writing a beautiful story around it to explain why you couldn't look away. And maybe that's the most human thing of all. Not that we fall for a stranger in a tenth of a second, but that we spend the rest of our lives turning that split second into a story worth telling. So the next time your eyes lock with someone across a room and the whole world tilts, you'll know the truth. It isn't magic. It's a tenth of a second, a flood of chemistry, and a brain that already decided before you ever had a say.